my God. So I had a blast. One of the funnest, most exciting trips I've had in a long time.
This business is a little insane sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Plain terms, what are seller concessions?
So seller concessions are
A 580 credit score, you can potentially buy a house.
yes.
Okay, perfect. What is the very, very top commandment of what not to do, basically?
Oh
Am
gosh,
I
you're
opening
now
up a
gonna
can
put
of
me on the spot. Oh
So
my
what
gosh.
is
if
not?
you have a Sancho or a Sancha, we
You
don't
do it.
care. We'll close you, but
Buy
please
her
be
a house,
honest.
but just be
tell
honest.
us.
Yeah. All right. So Liz, hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
How are
I haven't
you?
seen you in a few weeks, I think, right?
I know you've been busy. I saw you were in Chicago.
I was. Oh my God. So I had a blast. One of the funnest, most exciting trips I've had in a long time. Laughed. I was with a great group of people, and I'm excited they'll eventually make it onto the show. And had a great time. Did some sightseeing. Went on a couple of tours, and I actually got to go see the Bean. So I'm excited about that.
that
And
was
then I stepped on the ledge. So of course our lives are always being lived on the edge, right?
Oh yeah,
So.
absolutely. This business is a little insane sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. How you been?
Good. Busy working. The market is picking up. We're seeing a lot of, new buyers.
Yeah.
We're seeing that it's a buyer's market, but also we're seeing a lot of like seller concessions. So it's kind of nice to see that.
What are seller concessions to, let's say, for example, I'm buying a house for the first time, and you say, hey, Erica, the seller is, right now it's a buyer's market. That means that, buyers have the upper hand right now. And the seller might give you seller concessions. In basically plain terms, what are seller concessions?
So seller concessions are is money that the seller can help with to help with closing costs, help with buying down the rate. We do see up to 2 to 3% on that, which is really good. There are times where maybe a builder or a seller will not pay seller concessions, and then that's when we go into negotiations, and then that's when we go to you.
Okay.
Hey, Erica, the client has XYZ amount of funds in their account, enough for the down payment, but we need seller concessions to cover the difference in maybe the closing cost. Or the client only qualifies for X amount because of their debt to income ratio. We need seller concessions to buy down the rate. So it's pretty neat because that's when you come in and you negotiate for the buyer for the best interest of our buyer to be able to make the deal work.
Sure. Because you and I are working with the same buyer. They are our clients.
Right.
So in all reality, as a buyer, you have a lender and you have a real estate agent. I basically, my job is to write the offer, negotiate, purchase offer, any additional incentives that we can get. Your duties are to make the loan possible,
Right?
And to basically get them to the closing table with the loan in hand and ready to purchase the home.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So seller concessions basically is an additional amount of money, basically a credit that the seller is willing to give a buyer so that in turn the buyer buys the seller's home, right?
Correct.
So I could have a house here on the market, I could have a house here for sale. And so if a buyer takes a look at both homes, one house, for example, one seller is not offering seller concessions, but the other is, that is more enticing to a buyer, right? Because the seller's basically saying, hey, if you buy my house, I'm willing to give you a certain amount to help you get into this home.
Yes. So it can go both ways. I've seen it where, yes, it is enticing because they're offering seller concessions, but I can see where a client absolutely falls in love with a particular home.
Sure.
And there's not only one person that submitted that offer on that specific home. There's 5 offers on the table.
Right.
So then that's when we see the agent say they need to offer, highest and best.
Correct.
obviously everything I'm sure is confidential. And so our buyer doesn't know if they went up in purchase price, if they're asking seller concessions. So then that's when sometimes I'm assuming that that's when you come in and you give your honest opinion as what you think you could, the client can do. For example, like there's 5 offers. I recommend you go a little bit higher and maybe not ask for closing costs. So I think it depends on every situation, right?
Sure. No, absolutely. And that's where having an experienced agent becomes very helpful, because you want someone who's a strong negotiator, who has basically been through it all.
Absolutely.
And, I have a couple hundred transactions under my belt. So I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of real estate and transactions. So but hey,
So I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I've also seen, and I also have a couple hundred loans under my belt, and being a lender for over 20 years, I've noticed too, when we have a pre-approval letter from a local lender who has experience and they're up against other banks that might not be local, I've noticed that the clients that are submitting the offer with the pre-qualification letter, and with the local lender, the chances of it getting accepted are much more higher than an online bank.
Sure, because you have that credibility. You have, for example, if I'm a seller here in Yuma and I've been here years, and I know different lenders, different people in the real estate industry, and I trust their opinion. If they say, Erica, I highly recommend you go with Liz, because I've heard great things about her on the local level. She is fantastic. I've had, friends, family, clients who have, used her, and great experience, versus, let's say, a national, someone on the other side of the country. We don't know if they're going to be available 24/7, like most of us in real estate are,
Absolutely.
So it's great that you say that. And so this is going to be more towards real estate agents, real estate agents who are watching this interview. What do you see? What challenge do you face when working with real estate agents in general? And what would you want us to change in terms of how we practice, or how we can benefit our clients and basically make the transaction smoother?
That's such a great question. I feel like you and I have, good communication. And I think it's important that any lender that you work with, because I know you also work with other lenders, and that's okay. We need to not have all eggs in one basket, right?
Sure. There's plenty
for everyone.
Plenty for everyone. Absolutely.
Don't be greedy. So I think what happens with that is, as a lender and a real estate agent, all we want is communication. All we want is like, okay, tell me what the client needs so that I can make it work. Tell me what the client needs so that I can present it to the seller. And same thing with an agent is, if we've sometimes worked with agents where like, well, I don't know if the seller is going to agree with that. It's like, okay, we don't know that. Sometimes when a seller is selling their home, a lot of the time is hardship. A lot of the times is because they have a new job opportunity.
Yeah.
Divorce. There's just so many reasons why they need to sell their property. And I've even seen where we've had clients, I think one that touched me was when we submitted the pre-qual letter, the client wrote a special letter to the seller. Have you ever experienced that, where they feel like why they should be the chosen buyer for their home?
A love letter.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I've seen it. Yes.
What is the most, do you see it often, or?
I think that I have not seen it in quite a few years, but I've seen love letters in my time, and I've had clients who have written love letters. Of course, the industry nowadays, it's recommended that we don't, but I do think that okay, so that is why I think having an experienced agent makes all the difference in the world, because there are strategies that I, as a real estate agent, have. And, I have a client, they say, Erica, I absolutely love this house. Here's my love letter. Please submit this and give it to the sellers. Well, again, we should not be submitting love letters, but that is where being a strong negotiator and being a persuasive agent is key, because if I am trying to basically step up to bat for my clients, I need to express their love for this home to this agent, because in turn, they'll go and say, okay, you know what, sellers, this agent's, this family absolutely love this house, and, they fell in love with it, and they'd love to, I think that they would be the perfect family for this home.
And sometimes I've seen it because of generations.
Correct.
Maybe that home used to be, their great grandpa or
Yeah.
great 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 grandpa, or or maybe the neighborhood has a meaning to them.
Sure,
maybe they were
sure.
raised there. There's just so many reasons as to why they do write love letters, but that is a thing, right?
It is a thing. Yes, absolutely. It is a thing, and people do still, absolutely want to, they want a home for various reasons.
So it's
and
kind
they
of
fall in
like
love with
going on a blind date,
Correct.
right? Not
Yeah.
knowing who it is, but they're writing you a love letter.
Exactly.
Persuade me.
It is. It is. It absolutely is. I didn't think about that, but yeah, it's going on a blind date, and you're professing your undying love to someone you've never met, but you're going to fall in love with. So yeah, that's
kind of like real life.
Yeah. Whew, let's not talk about love and life. But yeah, that's great. I worked with you on many transactions, and I know that you definitely know your stuff, and I appreciate your opinion and your value. So anything, I know that when you say, Erica, this is, I'm not getting this from you, or talk to me. So now you say communicate. Absolutely. I mean, it's with anything, in life and in work, it's communicate. And so you're basically telling me to answer my phone. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. But not only that, communication, and also keeping the realtor in the loop, like, hey, this is what's happening, or hey, the client pulled from his 401k. It's, I think just informing everyone and all parties to know where the file is in case there's a hiccup. And yes, there's some loans that we can close in 10 days, 15 days that are amazing, that go very smoothly. But there are clients that can be their credibility on their credit report hasn't been the best. Maybe they were sick and now they're just restarting to repair their credit. So many things. Life changes in a heartbeat, in a matter of seconds. So we understand that having a good credit is a lot, but we also understand that things can happen.
Sure.
And then that's where we come into play and we help with the client. And there are some files that need a little bit more documentation, more paperwork. But I think as long as we are in the loop of things and we let the agent know, I feel like that makes the whole transaction go smoothly.
Okay. So basically communicating and knowing the buyer's full background story and credit profile, all of that stuff. So full transparency, I think, on behalf of a buyer. If I'm coming to you, Liz, I want to buy a house, I have to tell you everything. I can't withhold any information from you, because, like, for example, I get a lot of, I want to buy a house and I'm going to have my girlfriend move into it, after I close. Turns out they're married. That changes the game entirely for myself, but for you as well.
That is a great question.
So have you had any, because I have, where you have any clients where they, you assume because of what they say, they're single and they turn out to be married, and a week before closing, we find out they're married. What happens then? So
that's such a great question, because we do come across that. It's a little bit more often than not. And when we take the application, we ask, one of the questions is, are you unmarried, married man, married woman? Do you have any dependents? And that's one of the questions that we ask. And the reason being is because of the type of loan. Typically, government loans require that if you're legally married, because Arizona is a community state property, we have to run the spouse's credit. And what does that entail? We just have to make sure that there's no additional debt. Any additional debt will have to be added to the debt to income ratio, which can have a huge impact on the loan, because if the debt to income ratio is high, then it can disqualify the client. Now, the debt to income ratio, what is that? For those that don't know what the debt to income ratio is we determine their income plus their current debt and their new proposed payment. So if we go over 50%, depending on the loan program, we cannot make it work.
So you're saying that, okay, you're basing, so debt to income is I make a certain amount each year, right? And I have a certain percentage of credit or
right?
debt. I'm sorry. So I cannot have more than 50% debt to my income, against my income, basically.
Correct.
So let's say I make $100,000 a year, right? How much debt would 50% be?
So at 50%, for example, like if at 100,000, 50% debt, you would qualify for something about 250,000, 300 tops, depending on the loan program, depending on the rate, multiple factors, depending on what your interest rate is. And obviously the interest rate also determines if you're putting 5% down, 10%.
Sure.
So there's so many factors that go into play.
Yeah.
So this is why the real estate agents, require for the clients to get pre-approved before showing them a home, because sometimes they can get overly excited for, a certain price range, and they might not qualify for that price range.
So, okay, as a real estate agent, I get tons of phone calls every day. I want to buy a house, or I want to see this house, or, what is this? What is that? So my top two questions, the top two questions that I get almost daily are, the first one, we can start off with the first one is, what does my credit score have to be in order for me to qualify for a home? So you're the expert in this. What is one's credit score? What does it need to be in order for them to qualify?
We can go as low as 580. But then again, it also depends on the type of loan program and if that client qualifies. But we've seen it as low as 580.
So a 580 credit score, you can potentially buy a house.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So a lot of people don't know that. They think, 620 has to be my credit score,
And it could be. It just depends on the lender, depends on the bank. Usually different banks have different overlays. So it's always recommended to get a second opinion just to make sure, that another lender is able to do it versus, a retail bank or a broker or, there's many options too. A lot of the things that we see a lot on the lending side is people that are 1099 or that have businesses. A lot of them don't report enough income because the more income they report, they have to report to the IRS.
Sure.
So what we do see a lot is, clients not qualifying for not reporting enough income, but their bank statements allow that. It reflects the income coming in. So at that point, we also recommend for a non-QM loan, which we're able to do, which we can always get into detail on that. But there's just so many different
types of loans,
different programs, different scenarios. I mean, I think we've seen it all.
And what is the most common type of loan?
The most common type of loan is FHA.
What is FHA?
Federal Housing Administration. A lot of our first-time home buyers jump into this type of loan, or a lot of the buyers that have a lower credit score, which is like the 580, the 600s. That program allows you to go into a home with putting 3.5% down. Not only that, but this program also allows for you to get a down payment assistance because it is a government loan. But then once again, we'll review the credit, and then we'll determine if the client qualifies based on income. So there's a lot of great opportunities for clients, and it makes me sad when I see people that have been renting for 10 years because they think that they have to put 20% down or don't have that information or anyone to guide them. And that's why we're here.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
to
To
help them,
educate
to
and yeah,
educate.
absolutely. And all they have to do, I mean, people think, oh, well, I don't want to call because
I'm
I'm
embarrassed.
embarrassed or I don't know what to ask. But that's why it's important to, call one, maybe two, maybe three different lenders, real estate agents, and see, who is actually explaining the process to you thoroughly and to the point where it makes sense.
Right.
So I love to educate my clients. There's so many moving parts to a real estate transaction, and even behind the scenes, clients sometimes don't see what happens. Oftentimes, don't see what happens behind the scenes, but you and I could be pulling each other's hair out and, everything could be falling apart. But what our clients see is that we're still in the process, we're still in escrow and we will make it happen, but they don't know what it took behind the scenes to actually make it happen.
Well, I've seen you prep for an open house and I've seen you cleaning showers, sweeping the floor, mopping.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you do all that.
And I'm not, and that's the thing about me. Like, I'm not afraid to get dirty. I'm not afraid to work 24/7. I'm not afraid of a challenge. I welcome them. And I think that's why I am, I do what I do, and I'm not afraid to work because I welcome these challenges. And to me, that I feel like that makes me a better agent. And I don't know why, but it seems like 75% of my transactions are all challenges. So
yeah,
I've seen it all. That there's going to be probably a different session where we're going to talk about horror stories, the good, the bad, and the very ugly.
Because I feel like we have a lot of followers and they see, like you said, the good.
Yeah.
They see that we're out marketing. They see that we have the cute outfit of the day, or they see everything, but they don't know we have fires to stop.
Oh yeah.
Which can be a little bit draining, but I feel like there's always a solution. So I always say, I see it as like, okay, what are we going to solve today? It's like, is this a murder mystery or what's going on? But we always have to find a solution.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love what I do. And I'm sure I can see it right through you. You have a passion for real estate. You love what you do. And it doesn't feel like you're working at all. It's like you get up and get pretty and blow out fires, and that's what we do.
And that's what we do.
But we don't talk about it. Yeah. I don't think anybody shares like the horror stories or anything.
Take this as a therapy session. Let's use this as a therapy session. Let's talk, Liz. Let's talk.
Yeah, but no, there has been some horror stories, but at the end of the day, what matters is the family got their homes, they got their keys. And I always see it, we made it happen, and that's all that matters.
I know. And tomorrow they may not remember our names, which a lot don't, but knowing that, that we actually made it happen for them is very rewarding. And the two most rewarding things to me about real estate are when I have buyers walk through the doors of different homes, and the one that they absolutely love, just seeing their face light up. You can tell. I always focus on their face when they're walking through, through homes. We know when it's the one when their facial expression completely changes. It is the greatest thing ever. And second, it's when I'm handing keys to them, about to open the door of their very first home, because real estate is a very emotional process. We are working with them and helping them make one of their biggest financial decisions in their lives. I've had couples, I've had families who are 60 years old buying their first home ever. And one couple, for example, worked for 40 years and saved every penny. But at 60 years old, they were able to buy their home cash.
Wow.
Cash, because they saved up every penny for it. And that was their dream. I'm
assuming that was super touching to you, because now that's a core memory to you. And now you're saying it, and I'm sure it was for example, it was such a touching moment to see that every sweat, every sacrifice, every tear is in that home.
Yes, absolutely. And now it's something where, they actually, can start making beautiful memories. And, that was this gentleman's American dream. He's like, if, he said, if there's anything that I ever wanted was to own a home. And that was his dream, the white picket fence.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's a great feeling. That is, and that's what keeps me going, is knowing that there are a lot of families out there that truly appreciate all the work that we put into it. And that, again, that's what lights a fire in me, and that's what keeps me going. And I genuinely just enjoy helping people, and I'll keep doing it until the day I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's how you are too, because I see it. You're always answering your phone, and because if I'm going to call, it's because, hey, Liz, I need help. Or and you enjoy it. You're very passionate about it as well, and I think your work truly shows it. And you can tell when someone's passionate about what they do, because they stand out.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that, in you, and anyone
Thank
else
you.
I work with.
And I feel the same about you. That's why I said,
the
everything that you do just radiates through you. When I talk to you, when you meet with the client, when you're guiding them through the most important investment in their lives, you could see that, and the clients can sense it. And I think that is why you're one of the top agents in Yuma.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had to address that.
Thank you. So, okay. So top 10, or the 10 commandments of lending. Thou shalt not. What is a very, very top commandment of what not to do, basically?
Oh gosh, you're now going to put me on the spot. Oh,
so
my
what does one do? Let's say, for example, I'm buying a house and I'm a first time home buyer, and even then, some second, third time home buyers too. So this is for everyone who is either in the process of buying or is about to buy, and they're serious about buying. But let's educate our viewers and our clients, our future clients. What is one thing that I am not supposed to do if I'm getting ready to buy a house, or I'm in the process of buying a house?
That's such a great question. So one of them, which is the main one, is do not purchase a vehicle. And everybody gets excited. They get pre-approved and they think that they can buy the world. So do not purchase a vehicle. Do not go out buying entertainment centers, the
furniture
new
for the house
rooms.
I do not own.
Yes, do not buy furniture for the house that you do not own. The second one is getting married because of the type of program. Yeah. Once again, Arizona is a community state property, so a lot can change. Their debt is your debt. Yeah. So please do not get married. And if you do, let us know within time. Don't let us know the day of closing.
I mean, buy the house and then we'll throw a party for you at the house. We'll pay for it.
Yeah, we'll pay for it in your new backyard. So that's number 2. Switching jobs. Yeah. So, or, the fourth, getting laid off and not telling your lender. So these are things that we have witnessed, is like switching jobs. They assumed, oh, well, they're paying me more. I'm fine. I'm already approved. I was getting paid $2 less, in my previous job. Mm-hmm. My lender doesn't have to know. We have to know, because at the end, we have to do a verbal verification of employment. Mm-hmm. And if they say, oh, this person no longer works there, so then that's how we find out.
Okay.
So, make sure you let your lender know.
So you do verifications in the beginning.
In the beginning,
but you also do them in the end.
Yes, at the end they're verbals.
Kind of like
we just want to make sure you're still there.
Nothing in your life has changed.
Yeah, okay. You're still there. Okay. You're not part time.
Yeah,
you're still
or you're
there.
Not driving a Ferrari or anything like that.
And then the next one, laid off. Okay. I understand, we are the bank. Sometimes we have clients that are scared of us and they don't want to tell us like, oh my gosh, I got laid off. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll find something. I really want this house. There are instances where, depending on the type of program, we will accept a job offer letter. So, not telling us is we can't prepare and we can't help you until we know. So the sooner that we know, the better, because at that point we can reset, readjust, get with the agent, get with the selling agent. What can we do? The client got laid off, but they have plan B. Plan B, they're starting a new job within 30 days, less than 30 days, they have a job offer letter and we can make it work and everybody's happy. But when we find out at the moment of closing and it's like, oh, they're no longer there. And we're like, no, they're there. We have a pay stub.
Right.
And then the client's like, well, that was my last pay stub. I didn't want to tell you. I was scared I was going to lose the home. Yeah. So we do see that. Buying, a house for somebody that's not your wife. Like, those are things we see.
They're real stories.
That's totally okay.
I know.
Like, cada quien, right? It's okay. But once again, Arizona is a community state property. Yeah. Like, there has to be disclaimers. and it's like, oh my gosh. I won't say nothing. I'm just your lender. I'm not a counselor. I'm not the FBI. You do you.
You do you, and we're not here to judge. But again, hold up. We will have a party for you. We'll throw that party for you. Just do not.
Do not. If you have a Sancho or a Sancha, we don't care. We'll close you, but
buy
please
her
be
a
honest.
House. But just be
tell
honest.
Us. Yeah. The next one is, geez, I had it right off the top of my head. I guess the Sancho and the Sancho.
Don't open a credit card.
No, don't open credit cards. Yeah. That's the number 6. Do not open a new credit card. Do not rank up your credit cards. A lot of people think that, Dillard's gave me $1,000 or Marshall's gave me $1,000. That means I can use the full $1,000. So then what happens is your credit score starts decreasing because you're not using your credit cards wisely.
Right.
So another one. Oh, I came to apply, but I'm not going to use my social security number. I'm going to use X and YZ social security number. Yes, it happens. Yes, no, we do have special loan programs for people that get I-10, but we need to make sure that it is your social security number. Right. So sometimes we get asked, why do you need a copy of my social security card? Like, nobody asked for that, or
because you're asking for $300,000. That's
yes. So that's the 8th. The 9th is tax returns. We get people that, maybe file late and didn't send them electronically, but never mailed them out. So we do request tax transcripts. So there's times when we've requested them and it shows no tax record found. And then now we're almost getting ready to close. We verified that your tax returns were not filed. And so now we can't close the loan. So just being honest, because at that point, we can get with your accountant to expedite that return. So then that way, when we get ready to close, you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know everybody's scared of the IRS. Like, they're not going to come after you. Just file the extension and we'll get it done. And the 10th one is, being late on any of your credit cards or a car payment. It happens, mistakes happen. We get it, but we do recommend, to make your payments on time, and not be late, because it can ding your credit. We've seen it 10 points, 20 points. It just really depends on if it was an installment loan, a revolving, or a mortgage. So just be careful, but we've seen it all. I know maybe you're shocked on a couple of them, but
I'm even shocked, so that's good information. I mean, it's again, I love educating, my clients, and I love being as informative as possible. Sometimes I take baby steps because I don't want to overwhelm them.
It is a lot of information.
It's a lot. A lot can happen within 45 days.
Oh, a lot.
And that is the typical, escrow time period.
Let alone a new construction.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's another topic.
That's another day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, No, thank you for everything. And thank you for everything you do. You always go out of your way to be able to be there for me, basically.
Thank you,
And, you know, you
Erica.
could be on vacation somewhere and you're still going to answer your phone. And, you know, and I try to do the same as well. So I do have a team, and I would not be able to do what I do without them too. So definitely giving them a shout out.
Yes, you do. You do have an amazing
So,
team,
yeah.
and you are an amazing person. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So last question. What is your dream vacation? Where would you go?
Actually, Europe. So I just turned 40. I know, I can't believe I'm saying this. I just hit the 40 big milestone.
plunge.
I'm on the 40 club, but I feel like I'm 25. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
It's okay. Everything's going to start hurting when you wake up anyway. So have
Yeah.
that Ben gain
My
right on your
knee-
nightstand.
My knees
You're
don't
gonna do
feel
it.
25.
Yeah, they're going to start cracking pretty soon.
No, they are already cracking, but it's okay. Just a couple warm-ups doesn't hurt
Sure.
anyone. So my dream vacation is actually Europe. And we actually have a trip planned this summer.
Nice.
With the kids.
Uh-huh.
We'll be out there for a couple weeks. It's the furthest I've been anywhere in the world. We always like to travel, at least take a trip a year. But we're super excited. I'm very excited. This is on my bucket list. So
Very cool. Any particular place you're going to in Europe?
So yeah, we're actually going to Paris,
Very nice.
London, and Italy.
Very nice.
And definitely the kids, we're doing Disneyland in Paris. So
Yes.
we're super excited about that. And we're going to hit a couple of spots, but I'm super excited. So if you've been there and you have any recommendations, send them my way.
I definitely can give you some recommendations for London. London is, I mean, you will not have enough time in the world to see all of London, but I'll give you the main ones that you absolutely should go to, the sites you should absolutely visit. Disneyland. Let me know how Disneyland Paris is. I've been to Disneyland Tokyo, so I can tell stories about that place. It was incredible. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it.
So Tokyo and Japan are definitely in my bucket list as well. So, but yeah,
Very
what about
cool.
you?
I want to travel the world. I don't know. I think I would love to. My dream vacation would be to backpack, either South America or Europe, and
Wow.
and I'm not big on cruises, but I definitely would love to go backpacking or do a wine tasting and visit different sites of the world.
That would be cool.
So, yeah,
That would be
yeah.
super
So
cool.
I'm excited. But I know you celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yes.
So, of course, I wouldn't want to end this without giving you a gift.
Aw.
And it's a lot of Erica's favorite things.
Oh,
So, of
thank
course,
you.
I have like beauty products everywhere. So I'm a big fan of beauty products. So I've created a basket for you.
Oh my
and
goodness.
just a lot of my favorite things. So,
Oh, thank you.
yes.
Thank you so much. Dub, oh my gosh, I love Dub.
You can't give it up.
No,
Everything.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate you. And once again, thank you for having me. Thank you for trusting
Yeah.
me, our team, our marketing team, everyone. We appreciate you. We appreciate your team. And like I said, there's enough room for everyone.
Absolutely.
And I know you love to spread your love, but I just want to thank you for allowing me to be one of your top, lenders. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate, hey, the grind and the hustle. If you have it in you, then you are a part of me. So
yeah, thank
yeah.
you.
All
I
right,
appreciate
Liz.
you.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And send pictures of Europe.
I will. Thank you.
All right.